Then we'll be ready to roll. I think we are ready to roll. Welcome everyone to Planetary Gig Talk Live. I'm Jefferson Glassie, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gigs Society, and your host. The mission of the society is creating unity through music, or as I like to say, making connections through music with the intention of bringing peace. Very excited today to be able to have a conversation about music ashrams. What are they? Well, I didn't know much about it until about 6 months ago, but it sounds like a very interesting concept that could be about groups of musicians sharing resources, creating music together. It's a concept that started over in India, and we are very pleased today to have an excellent panel of musicians, starting off from Rishikesh, which is not too far from right here on the banks of the Ganga. Raj Sagonakha with the Devi Music Ashram. Raj, how are you?
Thank you, Jefferson, for inviting me in this Planetary Gig Talk, and I'm very pleased to be here with all these great people. Thank you for inviting.
Thank you so much. And Biko Casini with Rising Appalachia. So nice to see you.
So good to be here with everybody. Thank you for inviting us, Jeff, and thank you everyone else for being here. Yeah, it's great to be a part of this.
Thank you. And our cleanup hitter, if you will, Victor Lamont Wooten. Thank you so much for being here, Victor.
I appreciate it, Jefferson. Always good to talk with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. So if the people on Zoom will just keep your mics muted, we will have opportunity for questions later. I want to start this by just saying I had a business trip to India in February, and then I had a music, nature, culture camp in Nepal a couple weeks later and had some time. So I ended up going to Rishikesh in India, and it just seemed like a good destination. A couple people had told me, well, that's where Maharishi went when the Beatles visited his ashram in 1968. And that was truly amazing seeing that ashram. I didn't know too much about it. We'll talk a little bit more about it later. But I was just there in Rishikesh. I was in a lobby of a building which we were talking about music, and somebody said, "Oh, there's this music place right down the street, a half a block away." And so I said, "Okay," and I walked over, and it was like, holy cow! And literally, because I was walking by cows and dogs, and you know, India is just such an amazing, complex place. And there was the Devi Music Ashram. They have musical performances and meditations and all sorts of things. I went in, I met Raj Sagonakha, and it was really quite profound to me that I just happened to stumble on the Devi Music Ashram. And so I was hoping that, Raj, you could give us a little bit of background and information about Devi Music Ashram, sort of what its purpose is, how it got started, what you do there, what your intentions are, what your sort of your guiding spirit is. That would be wonderful. And I think we have a few pictures to show people from the ashram as well.
Yes, I can tell something. Well, I don't know from where to start. So my father is a professor of philosophy, and he teach philosophy. So when we were child, we are 4 brother, and I have 3 more sisters. So we had a lot of freedom as a child, and a lot of love. And there was no any kind of imposition of any kind of ideas or religion or anything. There was total freedom for us. And so my father only wanted his children to be happy and have a smile on their face and let them do whatever they want to do. And he was not directing us in any way. He will just do that. If we are going in some direction, he will just make a space for us. So we all naturally became musicians. All my sisters and me, we all are into arts. And so because of this freedom and this, we have a lot of connection. We all family, we are very integrated. And so when we became musicians, we decided to open a music place. So the word ashram means kind of like a shelter. It can be a teaching place also. It can be a spiritual place also. So we decided to open this music ashram where people can come, they can learn music, they can share their music, to organize concerts, to promote folk music, and to learn classical music. All these things started happening. And we also believe that life itself is an instrument that need to be played properly. So you learn to play instruments, and you should also learn to live well and play in this life properly. So there is some spiritual aspect of it. So, and we are now developing some points. Like when you start learning an instrument, your first thing is to know the instrument. So to know yourself, to know this life, to understand what you are, is also aspect of this ashram, to help people to understand themselves with music, about themselves, about life. So we are integrating music and philosophy and spirituality, and there's a lot of freedom, and there is love involved in this. And there's a lot of things happening here. And we organize concerts weekly, twice a week. We do music here. There are classes available for different instruments, Indian instruments, and people can stay here. And we also invite different artists here. But there is no imposition of any ideas. You are totally free to explore things and to explore and question everything and be free to. There's no, like in the ashram, usually there is some gurus. They have their own philosophy, their own ideas. But here there is no guru. Your nature and you is your guru. Nature is your guru here. So you can explore things. This is what I can say in short. This is the concept.
Yeah, so you said nature and music and knowledge
Yes,
are the gurus and masters. And that was so much like the things that Victor talks about as well. Do you want to show a couple of pictures, Brian, of the ashram?
Jefferson, you're muted.
You can see some of the activities they have every week there. You can
Yes.
just sort of move through those. Devi Music Ashram is a unique place in many sense. There's no spiritual guru, only some music teachers, singers, friends, and good people. This ashram provides an environment to explore your own divinity by yourself, if there is anything like this. A very special feature of this ashram, go ahead. Is that we develop a relationship based on pure love and where there's no conditioning. Go ahead. There was a sound meditation. I went to one of those when I was there. And then maybe just scroll through these pictures, and if Raj wants, he can comment on some of them. Some people at the ashram.
Yes. Some people playing music, sharing their music and dance. Yeah, it's like some group session. We are playing music.
I mean, there are people there sort of constantly, is my understanding, except for it's been a little bit less in the pandemic, right?
Yes.
You know, I was there during the Holi festival, but they canceled it in Nepal because of the coronavirus. There's Niti.
Yeah, Niti is singing. My sister. And Yahor is playing flute. Some people having breakfast. I think the concert is happening. We have some artists, people in the ashram. This is also a concert.
Yes.
We organize the hall where we do activities. Again, some food. It's me doing some recording with children. Me again. The regular music concerts that is happening here. This is the Himalayan mountains in Rishikesh from our terrace. You can see this, clouds, rainy season. It's very green now. It's monsoon here now. Niti teaching, singing, giving a vocal lesson. Some artists we are doing invited to do a classical performance, Indian classical performance. Yes, that's my Yahor, and somebody from Japan who's playing his instrument. They are doing some collaboration. Yeah, this is after the music concert, one of the concerts we did. Yeah, that's the study point. It's old picture. Now we have much more books. This is a room. People stay.
How many rooms do you have there for people?
Now before we had less rooms. Now we have about 25 rooms.
25 rooms. Very nice. Okay, well, thank you very much. Biko, it's so great to see you always. I have been a fan of Rising Appalachia for quite some time, and it was really when I got to know Biko through well, I don't know, just a situation, kind of a fundraiser thing that you all had, and it was kind of monumental for me because we talked and you told me first about Victor's book, The Music Lesson. And in many ways, that has been a huge, huge change in my life. It's been so inspirational. And then come to find out that really you grew up on a community that's very close to Wooten Woods. And it was nice that you were able to come to the Vision, or the Vision Camp the virtual vision camp that Victor had. And so, do you mind talking a little bit about, the farm and your growing up, and also kind of your thoughts about what the future may look like for musicians, and sort of communal living and sharing resources, because we talked about a little bit of that on the podcast.
Sure, man. Thanks so much for, having me here with this incredible group. Thank you so much, Raj, for sharing that. That was really inspiring. And yeah, it's amazing to be here in Tennessee. Victor, I'm so glad you're my neighbor and such a source of inspiration, and especially around the children's education, youth education in the forest. So I grew up in the woods in this intentional community called The Farm, and it was a very fascinating childhood. It was very radical on one level, and then at the same time, it was very like we were just isolated in the woods. So we were also just living a very natural life, similar to what Raj describes. Kind of come home before it's dark. You don't really have to tell people where you're going. And music has always been like a central part of the spirituality and the way of expressing our connection in this community. We have reunions. The community's been here 50 years. It's called The Farm, like you said, and every year we have a reunion where anybody who's ever lived here is welcome to come back, and we celebrate together. And we had this, like, as youth, we had this sacred vow. It was like, we cannot stop before 9:30 a.m. Like, we have to play music live on stage until 9:30. And that was like our thing. Like, we would play all night, for the tribe. And by dawn, sometimes there was still 80 people outside. And we'd look out and I'd see my mom. I was like, what? My mom is awake. It's 8 o'clock in the morning and she's dancing. It's like, oh my God, this is an amazing thing. And it healed rifts between the generations, and helped us kind of connect to each other. And so I've always, as I came into music, I've always recognized its power as an interweaver. It kind of weaves our spirits together. I mean, we're all one, but we're not sure how that works. And the vibrations of music kind of dances through all of us and weaves us together. And so I wanted to, just share a little bit, about that, and that process has kind of gotten me fascinated by the power of frequency and resonance and consciousness and intention and the way that they work together. And a little bit about my background is that I'm the son of an Italian stonemason, and I grew up being inside and exploring really old buildings and trying to pick apart how they lasted, or if they were falling apart, why did they fall apart? And so there's like these two parts. There's like the music, which is it's like the air moving. And then there's the matter, the physical space, which is what holds the air. It's like the body of the instrument. And so when I think of a musical ashram, what comes into my head is a building that's an instrument, a building that's specifically made in order to hold those resonances that we love so much. And so in looking into the past and seeing the way sacred music spaces were constructed, it was very different because everything was acoustic. And we live now in an age where we have amplified instruments and drums that are, really loud drums. And so there's a different architecture that's required in order to contain that and hold that energy, that resonance, without overblowing it. So that's kind of been one of the fascinations of my life, is what type of chamber could you build for music? And I've spent about half my life touring and playing music, and about half my life studying architecture and building. And finally was able to go to a Persian architecture school where I was able to study domes and vaults and really get some grounding into the knowledge of what I had been theorizing about, and kind of get some practical and hands-on experience. And so I'm back on the farm, and I've been thinking a lot about a music village, an artist village, a music ashram. And I love that there's no guru, and I love that there's no dogma. And it's like, just Raj, in your situation, it's really inspiring to just create a space where people can put instruments in their hand and make it appealing for creative artists and musicians to arrive and share, and just create a culture where the music is freely explored and freely shared, and that at the same time there's also a focused intention of creating peace through music, as you put it, Jefferson. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm somewhere along the way of that journey. I have a lot. I've been kind of redesigning my life to build that in the last 6 months, because I haven't been touring, and figuring out what it would actually take and cost to build a temple. I guess I will share. I will share a little teeny bit about the design of what I want to build, and then I'll show you guys some photographs, or a photograph of what is existing here, which is the first project, which is coming up this year. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But briefly, in terms of resonance and chambers, you know, just exploring the oval. You know, we come from an egg, and the universe is egg-shaped, and acoustically, a golden means oval has a harmonious resonance no matter which note is produced. Somehow it produces the harmonious overtones without producing the dissonant overtones. So I've been working on a kind of design for basically what is a turtle. It's an oval with 4 legs and a head and a tail, and they are all different sized rooms, and they all have a different resonance, and the center room is an oval with a dome. And that's like a kind of intimate sound, more like Raj, more like the inner space where people study, you know, like that madrasa almost is another word for it. It's like a study space. And so that's kind of a little bit further out. But I want to share what's going on now. If you would, Brian, there's a picture of this crazy iron building. If you could pull that up.
Yeah, I saw that picture. That is amazing.
And I kind of want to get into it. And there's so many, like you said, there's so many rabbit holes. But there's something about music that is a cultural legacy, you know, and it's passed down from hand to hand, throughout generations, from hand to ear, really.
Wow.
Okay, so this structure, this was the original meeting hall that was built on the farm, and almost 50 years ago. And the way that it was built is that they took down a gymnasium. If you look, you know, up above the purple building, you'll see kind of an arched truss. That's a gymnasium truss. And so they took 5 gymnasium trusses and put them into a center. And then they created the arched lattice work from taking down a phone company building and re-welding all those those are long pieces of steel, those triangles. So this exists, it's on the farm. It's a 5-petaled, catenary arched dome, so to speak. And it has a skylight in the center. But the issue was, when they built it, they didn't know how to cover it, or they had an idea how to cover it, but they didn't know how to do it. And so it never got covered. And then some years ago, we covered it in a tarpaulin, and that didn't last very well. You can see it's blowing out on the right side.
Right.
That's 10 years later, and that was thousands of dollars to cover it. So I've come up with a proposal to the community to cover it in hempcrete, and then do like a swimming pool type of finish on the top so that it's rainproof, and then it'll slowly turn to stone, basically. So this will be, if we finish it, it marks next year our 50th anniversary as a community, and the proposal's on the dockets, and people are excited about it. And so yeah, this is to finish this project would be like, in some ways for my community, it's almost like going back to square one. We're like 50 years down the line, and we build this gathering place where we can celebrate and come together as one, talk through our issues, and also celebrate life. So it's a big deal for us, but it's also, I feel like, a big deal for the world, because each place and each time this happens, where we as a community build ourselves a temple to create beauty and magic in, when we do that, we give other people permission to do the same thing. We say, you can do this too. And that's important, that we take kind of the magic that we feel in our hearts, and we bring it to life in the world, and don't just think it's an unachievable dream, but that we reach for it. And so I'm excited about this project. I'm excited, Victor, and everyone, to have you here to make music under this dome. The acoustics are incredible. Even when there's no one in there, it feels like you're playing for 1,000 people. It's weird. It's just a really incredible structure.
Wow.
And then I wanted to show you guys, can you still see my photograph? Is everybody able to see me at the moment? Because this photo, I don't think, came through, but I wanted to show it to you. Can y'all see that?
Yes. Wow.
Beautiful.
So that's an actual event. That's a painting that my friend did one night while we were playing music in there. So you can see, you know, this is, in a sense, it's not an ashram, but this is the music hall, and then the ashram is still yet to come. So I just wanted to share all of that. There's a couple other pictures of the farm, just to give you a little context. A big part of it is going green and making everything living and a part of the earth, because that's a part of our vibration. So the more that we can build naturally, and the more that we can build out of green things and make plants grow, the more the vibration of our building is going to resonate and support life in our ashram. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, my philosophy right now is going green and building places where we can really explore the depth of music together. So yeah, that's it, I think, for me right now. Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and giving me a chance to share.
Yeah, I think Brian.
So that's the land. It's 1,700 acres, the land.
Wow.
And there's 200 people here now. We're kind of closed up these days, but at the same time, there's still a strong community, so it hasn't been too isolating.
I think those are pictures you got from the website, Brian.
So these are old pictures. We came to the land in army tents. We lived on less than $1 per day per person for almost 10 years. Called ourselves voluntary peasants. We had a guru in the beginning, and then about in the early 80s, the community decided that they were wise enough to make decisions together. And so they did that. And they restructured the community, and we have a guiding body. We're kind of like a miniature little county or something like that. This is our community. This is right now one of our community centers where we hold workshops. That's the Eco Village Training Center, where we have permaculture courses. That's a permaculture course happening. The Global Eco Village Network's United States Foundation was started here on the farm, or the center of, or the, what am I trying to say? The first Eco Village Training Center was a couple hundred meters from my house. So I grew up around those guys building. We have a book publishing company where we publish Native American titles and vegetarian and vegan cookbooks and books about healing disease through diet. Yoga center, little humble thing. There's our gatehouse. We're a little bit of a gated community. We have a front gate that is open during the day, most, not right now, but usually, and it's closed at night. And that's just to keep things a little more safe. It's a little bit rowdy in the South. I don't know what those are.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's kind of good. Thanks for sharing those. There's a lot of inspiring structures on the farm. I don't want to take up too much time, so you know, I want to leave some space for others.
Sure. Thank you very much, Biko. And we may have some questions about that. So Victor,
Awesome.
yes, thank you. So Victor, it's so great that you're able to join us. You've been really an inspiration to so many people. Your book in particular, it's inspired me. When Michael says in the book, intention is the key to everything. That was kind of became part of the mission of our little Planetary Gig Society. And I was talking with a musician the other day from the Netherlands who told about how you had inspired him with your book and the things that you do, but also, through Wooten Woods, the people who have been there, I think, are inspired by what they see and what they believe may be possible for people. And so, Wooten Woods is kind of a little heaven on earth. Maybe it's a music ashram, I don't know, but I'd love to hear any thoughts that you have about that, maybe, about this discussion, but about Wooten Woods, maybe why you thought it up. You started the camps, and then you and Holly decided to, buy this place and make it a music camp, if you will. And maybe what was your vision for it? And even after the pandemic now, has that vision changed? What do you see coming up for, you and Wooten Woods and our whole music community, our whole Planetary Gig Society, if you will?
Well, thank you so much, Jefferson. It's great to be here. As Biko said, with everybody, it's just amazing to be be in a place and have the opportunity to talk with like minds and even different minds. I think we grow when we can share our differences. But I don't know so much that my vision has changed, except that I can see that we need much more of it. It's not a time to slow down, maybe a time to speed up. And I think Wooten Woods, I don't even think this. I know that it's what we're doing is very much related to what Biko's doing at the farm and what Raj is doing in India. Very much related. But I also know that this is being done around the world and always has been, whether we call it the same thing or not. We have been using music, or maybe even more accurately, being used by music to make things better and to make ourselves better. For me, the ultimate goal is to be able to turn yourself into the ashram or into the farm or into the church, so that you have what we get if you come to Wooten Woods, what you get if you go to India, to the ashram there or to the farm, that you can bring with you wherever you are. To me, that's when it's really real. And until we can do that, and even after we do that, the physical place that we go to is more like a refueling station in my mind. This is a place where we it's like a car, you know, you get filled up again. And maybe you even share what you've learned since you've been away with other people. But it's a place where you can learn, you can relax, maybe even because you know you're with uh, like-minded people. So I don't, you know, my guard can come down and all of that. And that's exactly what I wanted for Wooten Woods. And when I say I, just know that I mean my wife, my brothers, my parents, and everyone. I include them in my I. And I believe you're included in that too, because the people that come, I think they want it also, whether they realized it or not. I think they might come there thinking I get a chance to learn from Victor Wooten. And I use quotes because that Victor Wooten is not the real Victor Wooten, you know, it's the one they've created. So it's real for them. But I think as they come, they find out that they are the real Victor Wooten. In other words, what they saw in me is what they are, not so much what I am. And my main goal is really to do what my parents did for us 5 boys, is to give us permission to love ourselves, give us permission to know that we are enough, right? Just by the fact that we were born. To use a religious phrase, my mom would say, God doesn't make any mistakes. So the fact that you were born was not a mistake. It was divine plan, divine opportunity, and you are divine. But I think I'm safe to say most of us have forgotten that. Right? I think we knew it when we were born, whether we realized it or not, it was a part of who we were. Right. But then quickly we grow up through society and things like that, and we forget that we are special, that we are unique, that we have the only fingerprint like this ever, past, present, or future. This is the only one, right? That's more unique than any diamond, more special than any pearl. You've already got it without having to do anything. You've already got that. But because we all have it, it's easy to forget that we all have it. My mom reminded us of that. Or I can't even say remind us. She never let it diminish. We were born with it, and and dad too. But more so, my mom was the talkative one. Dad was the quiet one. But mom would make sure that we never lost sight of who we were, which is the height of creation, right? Is who we are. We are the height of creation. And for me, music became the best way for me to express that. And more so, it became the best way for me to let you see it. Because through music, I don't have to verbally say anything for you to see it. Right. And at the risk of sounding egotistical, I'll just say it as I feel it. Music is the best way for you to see my greatness. But I'm smart enough to realize that what you see in me is what you really have in yourself. You may not see it in yourself yet, but it's there, or else you couldn't see it. So I allow you to use me as your example. But if you come to me, if you come to Wooten Woods as quickly as possible, and anyone that's been there, you know it's by the end of the second day, maybe the third day, where you come to camp here thinking you're here and Victor Wooten is here, this goes away, right? And it's not that I come down, it's that the student rises, how they see themselves rise. And that's exactly what we want. Whether you become a great musician, who cares? I don't. I mean, you think I do, but I don't. I care if you care. I want you to get what you want out of it. But as my mom said, what does the world need with just another good musician? We got plenty. What the world needs are good people. And we are at a standstill right now in our world that we can see that clearly, that good people is what's needed, right? And music is a great way to do it. Music shows everything about how society should live. In music, we recognize our differences. A band is better when every instrument is different, not the same. Although a band full of flute players could work, a band full of tubas can work, it's better if there's only one of each, right? And so music shows us that not only do we recognize our differences, we celebrate them. We listen. Even before we play, we tune. That's an agreement. We agree with each other before we play. No one's trying to win when we play a song together. Right? We know that we only win if we all win. But winning is not even the goal. It's not even a part of it. That's beautiful. Right? Even when the audience comes, they came to agree. I even agree with the stranger next to me. If you play something I like, I high five and hug the stranger next to me. I'm not sitting there wondering who they voted for or what religion they are, how much money they make. That all goes away in the name of music. So for me, music is the great way to start. But just becoming a good musician is not the final place. Right? That's a good goal, but we're trying to go further than that. And through, I believe, the ashrams, the farm, with permaculture and all these different things, music, Wooten Woods is just another version, right? Because the word church, the word ashram, farm, they can have different connotations just by the name to people. So we just do the same thing. We call it Wooten Woods. And there's people that are afraid of that. People are afraid of the woods. I understand that, right? But we do it for the sake of raising great human beings. And not even raising, it's just getting you to recognize that you are already a great human being. And through that recognition, we become better. But and when we're all there together, we become better together. And then we take what we got and we bring it with us. So the whole world becomes the ashram. The whole world becomes the farm, the Wooten Woods, the church, because we're all better. So no, I'm not slowing down. If anything, I think we're speeding up.
Wow, very awesome. Thank you and inspiring. Would you like to show a few pictures of Wooten Woods for people? Brian has a few that we,
Oh, cool.
yeah, just a couple of the pictures of the dome and a few things. I know that when we get back to things,
Wow,
you'll want people to show up. Go ahead and you can narrate this.
Sure. Someone from Turkey made that. Two guys came all the way from Turkey to our early base camp. And this was this used to be a patch that Steve Bailey actually came up with. And it says the basics of nature, the nature of bass. And that's our whole thing. You see the yin yang behind there with the bass clef on one side and a tree on the other. Our whole thing is about using nature to become more natural. Because whether we realize it or not, we're all trying to become natural at whatever it is we do. Right? To the point where if you see someone or find someone that's really good, kind of earlier than they should be, maybe we go golfing and all of a sudden within the first 3 strokes, you hit a hole in one. What do we say? Wow, you're a natural, right? What that means is you're like nature. And that's our quest. We're all trying to become like nature. But it's so sad to me that in music, we do the most unnatural thing to become natural. We lock ourselves in a room and are told to practice the same thing over and over. Right? Just play these scales over and over and you'll be good. No, you won't. Right? You'll be good at playing a scale, but whoever gets hired to play a scale? Right? We get hired to play with people. So you get good at playing with people by playing with people. So I say get out of that practice room to reclaim your naturalness. And so that's what that sign says. It's Victor Wooten's base/nature camp. We always include nature. And in the first 7 years, we only did base camps. But now, as you know, that we've acquired Wooten Woods, which is 150 acres, just a few thousand shy of the farm there. Yeah, but the same vibe, the same intentions. Now we do for any instrument. This is Jonathan Scales, great musician. He plays steel pans. If you see him in the middle, he's hitting these look like like he's cooking soup or something, but he's making music out of these things, and he's surrounded by his band, a bass player and a drummer. It's a Jonathan Scales orchestra, but there's only 3 people. But one of the things that Jonathan does is he invites people on stage for his final number. And wow, that is like the best church ever. there's one thing watching music. There's a different thing experiencing music. And the closer you get to it, the more you experience it. That's why people like to dance in front of the stage more than they do in the back of the room, because the experience is greater. So Jonathan knows that. He's young, but he's smart and wise. He brings people onto the stage and lets you intermingle for that final song, right? And so it's a really great experience. Oh, wow. That is the back cover here. Oh, and Jonathan, we usually have him at our camp called the Spirit of Music, where we want you to feel the spirit of music, and none other than Jonathan at that moment. Wow, Brian, that next thing you showed is the back cover of a comic book, which I thought I might have a cover right here, but a friend of mine who knows that I like Spider-Man, my friend Kathy Beal, was able to get me on the cover of a Marvel Comics with Spider-Man. It was a real issue, real artist from Marvel, and however she worked that out, I don't know. I'm just happy. And so I'm holding Spider-Man on the cover, but the back cover was designed by our longtime friend Dave Welsh. And we were given the front cover and the back cover of the magazine. So Dave designed an ad for vixcamps.com, which is the website for our camps. And you can see the dome at the bottom. So sort of like at the farm, we have a big geodesic dome, 36 feet around, 36 square feet. So over 1,000 square feet. I forget the numbers, never been good at math.
Yeah, I
But
think we have a
that was
picture of that,
designed by
too.
Dave.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the next one is our main meeting hall. This is a farm that was built in the 1900s, but hasn't been a farm for a very, very long time. But we renovated that barn into our main dining hall, our main concert hall, our main meeting room. There's an upstairs where people can hang out. Lunches and all our meals are there. Our guests usually have concerts in there. And even though we have other rooms like that, that's the bathhouse where there's showers. There's a men's side and women's side. You can kind of see behind the bathhouse with the white door is what we call a rock and roll cabin. That doubles as a classroom when we need it, but more as a sleeping room, because we have all of our students and faculty sleep on site. Michael Cott. So you're talking about the music lesson. This is actually my friend Michael. He's a cellist, and he's I shouldn't just call him a cellist. He's an amazing cellist, and even more so, he's an amazing musician. Anyone's heard my which one record? I know my Yin Yang record. I did a double record called Yin Yang, and on the vocal side of the record, there were two songs that Michael wrote. One is called Hormones in the Headphones. The other is, and he's also singing on it. And another one is called Go Girl Go. But as you read in the book, Michael's a strange guy. He doesn't think normally, which I like. I like to say if the world is run by normal thinking, I like crazy thinking. We need something different. Michael's crazy in the best sense of the word. So I used this guy, Michael Cott, as the model for my character, Michael. It doesn't mean that this guy you're looking at did everything the book says. No, he didn't. I used a lot of things that other people did, or even things I made up, and I attribute it to the Michael in the book. But I gave my character, Michael, the real characteristics of this guy, Michael Cott. He's an amazing, amazing musician.
Quite a character, too.
Yeah, of course.
Ooh.
Very much of a character. Yeah, we all have a first Michael story. Like when we first met him, everybody has a story.
Well, I was able to interview him out under the pavilion about 2:00 in the morning. It was quite the experience.
Yeah, people should go and find that interview and listen to it.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's smarter than you would imagine.
Ooh.
When you're just hanging out, you'd think he's just a guy that's always on drugs. But you know, even I'm sure he's done drugs in his life, but he doesn't need them to get the effects, you know, that drugs can have. He lives there.
Good way to put it.
Wonderful musician. Wooten Woods is the name of our location, 150 acres, a little west of Nashville, Tennessee, in a small town called Only, Tennessee. I think we're literally the only thing there. But we have signs because when you get off the highway, you think you're lost. Guaranteed, you think you're lost.
Yeah.
So we have a few small signs like that. And we give you a letter that tells you where to look for them because we don't want everyone to be able to see them. We want to stay hidden.
Mm.
Right? We don't want everybody to know. You'll be there if you're supposed to be. That's a closer up picture of the dome. The left side, which has the metal tin on the front with the awning, that's where our kitchen is, has a white screen door. We have a little picnic area, outdoor eating area, to the left of the kitchen. And you can't see it, but to the left of that, there's a garden. It's a small garden, but it's in the shape of a yin-yang symbol, which I love.
Nice.
Yeah. There's the dome, a faraway shot of the dome. A little shed in the back. That little beige shed houses our pump for our well. We're on well water. Looks like I see a tent. Someone's been tenting back there. Yeah. This looks like what is that, Brian? You think that's the rock and roll cabin behind the bathhouse, I think. I think that's the rock and roll
I think
cabin.
so.
Oh yeah, because I recognize the tree next to it. So yeah, this is just one of our sleeper cabins, but sometimes we'll use it as a classroom when we need it. And this is inside the classroom. You're not, I'll just put it this way, you're not 100% comfortable when you're at Wooten Woods, right? We don't have, very comfortable bed. They're kind of military style cots. But my dad was military, and I learned a lot. Even though my dad did not want us to have to be in the military, once my older brothers found music, my dad made sure we were able to keep it. He didn't want us to have to go through what he went through in the military, fighting in the Korean War during a heavy racist time, fighting for a country that wouldn't fight for him back. He didn't want us to have to go through that. But I still learned a lot from what he was put through. And I understand that there is a whole lot of worth in being uncomfortable. There's a whole lot to learn. So yes, we could have nice beds for everyone, but we know that you won't be there for long, at the most a week. We keep it slightly uncomfortable. For a long time, we didn't even have air conditioners in the cabins. We finally put air conditioners in there, but just a little bit uncomfortable. And what you find out basically is that you're still alive afterwards, But even when you go home, home is nice again. Right? Home was what a lot of us were trying to escape. But we go back home and home is beautiful again.
Right.
So that cabin to the left is the jazz cabin, a smaller cabin that'll fit about 4 people, more if you really want to be uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And the one to the right with the red awning is the one that my family sleeps in, and our instructors will sleep in there too. We call that the Broadway cabin. And we named it that because my wife and my kids, when they were young enough and would stay at camp, they were totally into Broadway and show tunes, like my wife, So we had posters on the wall. I think there's a book that's like somewhere levitating on the wall, with a candle that lights, because they were also into Harry Potter. So there's like, Kathy, I think our friend Kathy made some magic potion stuff in there. It's fun. There's a yurt with 2 cabins on either side. That's the hip and the hop cabin. And this is on another part of the property where we call the yurt area. And these are more classrooms or sleeping quarters, depending on how much space we need for students. We can put them on another part of the property for sleeping, but we can also separate the class if we need to. My original goal for this area was, right now we do the camps only when I'm available. And with my touring schedule, it's not 100% of the time. But I would like for people to be learning at Wooten Woods, whether I'm there or not. So the idea for this area is that we could build it up to where we could have a whole nother camp going on. So let's say during the summer, we had overnight or day camps for kids, but I still had a week where I wanted to do our older people camps, right? then we can have 2 camps going on. And maybe if we're doing a teaching camp at the barn, part of that camp, part of the teaching camp can be, let's go teach these younger people. And we go to this area, or where maybe we bring them to the barn, and we can intermingle of the 2 camps. But that's the goal. And even when we do 2 camps, I like a lot of it to be together, because I'm not one that likes to separate the beginners from the so-called pros. Because when you're learning your first language, you're not separated. We don't make the babies go learn from other babies. We'd be in our 20s and still wouldn't be able to talk. And if we could talk, we'd be afraid to express ourselves, just like we are with music. We've been playing 20 years and I'm still afraid. This is taken from the stage. This is inside the barn, taken from the stage, where you can see upstairs a little bit. You can see the tables. It looks like there's a vacuum cleaner on the stage, so we were in cleaning mode. I say we. Fortunately, we have great volunteers who come and give of their time, literally give of their time, to come from all over the world to help us run the camp. And we couldn't run the camp as greatly as we do without these volunteers. And I'm fortunate that with my wife and the volunteers, they take care of things behind the scenes. And I say we're in cleaning mode, but it's usually the volunteers, and they make it so that I and the instructors can really maintain our focus on teaching, and we don't have to make sure the stage is clean every night, or the bathrooms are stocked with toilet paper and the showers are mopped. It's a grueling work, but fortunately we have wonderful people that'll give of their time, and Holly and I are really indebted to them. So I don't want to take any credit and make people think that I cleaned any of it, when it was these wonderful people who did it. But Brian, go back for 1 second. One of the cool things that I like about the barn is when we first got the barn, it was literally a barn. There were 4 big tractor doors that roll up so you can drive tractors in, 4 of them on the front. And we realized we didn't need 4 of them, so we only kept 1. And if you see, you're looking at the front of the barn. We lost that picture for a second, Brian. But at the front of the barn, we kept one of those doors so that you can literally open up the front and get that circulation of air. The other 3 big tractor roll-up doors are behind us in this video. They're at the back of the stage. So we can literally open up the whole back of the stage. And behind the stage was a mountain, like a small hill. We built into that and put seating, so that behind the stage is a small amphitheater. So we don't do it much, but we can open up the back, and we could actually turn the stage around and face the back and play out that way. We've only done it a few times, but we'll open up the back for air ventilation, for light, and so that people can sit out and enjoy whatever's going on from behind.
There may be a picture of that, Brian. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah.
The upstairs has a ping pong table and air hockey and foosball and seating areas. And sometimes we'll do classes or projects up there. But you can also, as you can see, you can overlook the upstairs from the upstairs and see what's happening on the stage. And so students are always free.
That's where I got that picture of Jonathan Scales from there.
Yeah.
So you got a couple more pictures, Brian?
Yeah, this is the yurt area. All right. Yeah. It's a yurt area taken from the road. This is my brother Roy. A lot of people know Roy from Bela Fleck and the Flecktones, the drummer. People know him as Future Man. My brothers are gracious enough to always donate their time to the camps. And the information that I'm teaching and sharing, they know much more than I. They were with my parents before me. They've played music longer than me. They taught me. So every moment I get, instead of quoting my brothers like I do all the time, I just like to have them there. So that's my brother Roy. He's always got headphones on and a book or either a computer in his hand. He's always learning and listening. And I don't know what we were talking here. There's the stage with the curtains open, and you can see the door behind the drummer is rolled up and open, and you can kind of see part of the brick wall in the back. That's part of the amphitheater. And I know those people. I can tell you what song they were playing. They were playing what was that
That's Chris and Dylan and
Chris
Jake.
and Jake, and I took a video of them playing that song, and as I started to say it, my brain did it what it's getting good at doing,
Yeah,
forgetting stuff. But Jake was singing the song. It was really nice. The dome is beautiful at night.
really is.
Yeah, it's nice. We have some colored lights in there. It'll be quite a few differences when everybody gets to come back. It's going to be nice.
Cool.
And light that up with colors now. It's fun. So that's the one of the
That's my bunk.
the dog house or the wood or the rock and roll cabin
Yeah,
in use.
we don't have to stay on that one, Brian. I didn't make my bed that day.
Yeah, making our bed is
Win the day.
Oh, there's the front of the comic book. Yeah, that Marvel illustrator helped me out a little bit. He diminished my stomach a little, gave me more muscles in my whole body and a lot more hair. I used to have that hair, and he made me look kind of good. That's the guy I wish I looked like.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a good life there, Jefferson, to get to share. You know, some of my best friends in the world have come through doing these camps, getting to meet people like you, you know, and Raj and Biko, basically everybody in these windows. You know, I've gotten to meet through either your programs or my own, to get to see that, you know, Brian and Annie and you guys are doing your own programs. You know, Jefferson, getting to do interviews with you. You know, my life is richer because we're all in it, you know, and like I say, everybody has a beautiful piece of the puzzle.
yeah.
But the puzzle is more beautiful when it's put together. And I appreciate being a part of everybody's lives and you being a part of mine. So thank you.
Thank you. It's like that African concept, Ubuntu. Without all of us, there's none of us. So thank you very much. I'm conscious of the time. I had one or two more things to mention briefly, but also if Raj or Biko or Victor, you had any questions for each other or wanted to amplify anything that was said.
You know, one question that I don't know how much it relates, but when you know, doing these things, it takes funding. You know, it's not easy to do everything for free. You know, having gardens help, but then you need people to work the gardens. I'm wondering how, like an ashram in India, and I don't know how deep. I don't need you to go into deep, but how is it funded? Do the people who participate, do they sleep there? You have 25 rooms. Do they pay for a month-long program, a week-long program? Is it paid daily? How do you get the funding?
Well, it's a funded by my father also sometimes when it's not now, it's slowly getting more self-reliant. So like people who are staying, they pay some reasonable charge for their stay, and also they pay for the lessons they take. And people are staying for long term also, and some short terms also. It depends. And my sister Devi is a very popular singer here in some part of India. She's very famous. So she also contribute a lot in this ashram to keep it going.
Mm.
So it's funded like that.
Nice. And are you playing like different styles of Indian music, northern, southern, or does it go beyond Indian music?
It's mostly we are playing here Indian classical music and folk music also.
Nice.
So like we play some. I come from Bihar, so Bihar there is folk music. In India, each state got its own style of music. You know, India is, I think, there's a most variety of music in India. Each state you go, I think in India you have more than 1,000 languages. So there is so much variety of music.
Wow.
So we everybody is welcome here, but the teachings we do is Indian classical music, not the North Indian classical music here, and also the folk music here.
Nice. I love it. I just will say, and I'll stop here, that that music is some of my most favorite music in the world. I just love that music, and I can feel the spirit in it every time. And my first time getting to play it with people, I was telling them, I don't know the music that well. What does the bass player do? And they say, we don't have bass. Do what you want. And I was like, yeah, I love this. But I've been fortunate enough to be you know, I don't know, taught or mentored by some great Indian musicians, and I've just grown to really love that music, as well as the food.
Yeah, me too. I've been smitten by the music. Again, I'm conscious of the time, but I'd like to maybe we could wrap up in maybe 10 minutes or so. I did want to ask Annie Beach, who's here, if one of the things that if she could comment, because one of the things that I talked about with Biko in the podcast is, you know, there's sort of a need for conflict resolution or being able to deal with people when they're in a collective, a community like that. And Annie has been running a sort of it's like a little music ashram out of her home for kids. People don't stay there, but Annie, do you mind just commenting on the need for rules and sort of purpose and mission if a bunch of people are going to get together and, you know, devote themselves to a certain project like this, like an ashram or a jam pack that you are running out there in Arizona?
Okay, I did it. I'm listening. I'm so excited about what I've heard from all three of you. And I do something similar on a little lot in Chandler, Arizona. My house is 1,000 square feet. Every bit of the house for the last, say, 10 years is totally for music. I sleep in one corner. Have my bed I've had many years, sleep over there, and it's still piled with things. But I've always, we just don't have rules. Right? 25, 30 people, children all the way from, the youngest might be 4 up to 20 something. Couple of adults who teach but are also band members. And so they're all in and out. And over the years, I never had rules. I didn't like taking attendance, you know, that kind of stuff. I thought, if you want to be here and make music, that's got to be good enough. You have to be part of the whole. I treated, I guess, the whole band as a tribe. One person cannot be allowed to take it down. And you know what? That has worked. They monitor each other. Obviously manners and, you know, taking care of each other, teaching each other. That's what we do. And we don't, I don't know. I don't have rules. That's all. I just don't. I don't like them to chew gum because the animals can get it if it gets on the floor. But having written policies, the big thing I wrote that small book is be faithful to the band, practice, be nice to each other. That's it.
And have a purpose, a common purpose.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's what it's based on, of making and bluegrass music, because bluegrass, that's what I learned. It's not my tradition. My tradition is, I suppose, around folk, spirituals, that type of thing. But bluegrass does lend itself to easily, you know, pick up the guitar, the mandolin, banjo, whatever, and you can start just making music together. So everybody's on an equal footing. That's another thing. We all have the purpose of making people happy and ourselves, first of all.
That's so nice. So great. Thank you. Just wanted to hear from you.
Thank you.
The last thing I'd like to do, I did go over to India and to Rishikesh to see Maharishi's ashram. Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the founder of the TM movement, and where the Beatles came. And I'd like to zoom through a couple of pictures there. Just maybe it'll be inspiring or not. But Brian, if you don't mind putting those up, and also to say, I'm very appreciative of this conversation and people taking the time to participate and listen. I'm one who kind of believes in imagination, imagine action, taking action, and so we formed the International Music Ashram Association. I've done a lot with music with associations. This is really just a page on the website, but it's an information page, and it really just, all we have there now is information on Music Ashram, the Devi Music Ashram, a little book on the legal and practical aspects of music ashrams, and it's just a forum, but it's meant to say, we can. It seems like a very good concept as we go forward after this pandemic. Maybe we can help create the future a little more with the musicians and the artists leading the way rather than the bankers, etc. Brian, can you just, here we go. We'll zoom through these real quickly. It's kind of amazing. Maharishi moved there. That's the layout. Go ahead, keep moving along. He founded in 1961, 7.5 hectares. I'm not sure how much that is. It's abandoned now after Maharishi died. But as we go through these pictures, you'll see it's like a little city, a little town. And, clearly was a spiritual ashram dedicated to transcendental meditation. Now they build a lot of pictures in there. But, Biko, like your farm, they had a printing press. They had lecture halls, classrooms. It's almost kind of ghostly, a post office. But very inspiring in the sense of, the pictures that have been done afterwards. The Beatles going there was quite a big deal. And I keep wondering how in the world did maybe one of the most popular bands in history end up spending a couple of months in Maharishi's ashram in Rishikesh in 1968. But it was clearly sort of a meeting of the East and the West. And the idea of an ashram, I think, is very, very powerful. And hopefully people will consider that. This is the room where the Beatles, along with, as you see, Mike Love, Donovan, and the Farrow sisters, Mia and Prudence, dear Prudence, stayed and played music. There are a whole bunch of these meditation chambers made out of the river rock because it was a meditation place. It sits high on the banks of the Ganga, looking over Rishikesh. That's me, so you can see sort of the view from Maharishi's ashram. That's sort of a performance hall without much of a roof left. Raj, I think I texted you one time. I think we should buy it. We should buy Maharishi's ashram. And if not, maybe we can at least make a plan to have a concert there. What's very interesting is there are about 100 different little units where people could live. It had a bedroom and a sort of small kitchen and a bathroom and a meditation chamber on the top, and there were like 100 of those. So just to kind of...
That's so beautiful, Jeff. That's so beautiful. I love that with the stonework.
Thank you. It was kind of inspiring to me, and to see, can you imagine people filled up with that, all musicians, all artists, playing and living and creating and sharing resources together. That picture just really grabs me. They're in their Indian garb, working on some songs. And then the last picture is it seems very inspiring to see that you know that's what happened there, and I kind of like the term music ashram because it gives us sort of a spiritual aspect to music. But I think, as Victor was saying, you could use any terms that you wanted. But it's great to be able to have this conversation and to be able to see that there really sort of are music ashrams out there. And maybe it's a question of, thinking, what can we all do to share, combine resources, become better musicians, better humans, better people for the planet. So I don't know if Victor or Raj or Biko, if you have anything further to say before we sign off. You want to add anything?
I want to thank you very much for your so much dedication for music and all your help to the ashram and the donations also that you made. So I really want to thank you for that. And we hope this idea gets big and we make more ashrams around the world as we think.
Yes.
And I also want to mention that we are also making over some like 35 points program in which we are 1 second. Yeah, we are talking. We discuss about all the aspects of life as a human being. We as a human, we have many aspects like animality, morality, rationality, aesthetics, all these sense. So we are with my father he taught in college for over 40 years now. He's retired, so he is working on this points to develop like a little book which will work as a mirror for you to see where you stand. And then we are working on that also with music and all the activities that we are doing. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for your hospitality when I was there, and we got to play a beautiful song, and for participating and inspiring us. Anybody else have anything they want to add or questions?
Yeah, I
just thank.
Go ahead, Biko.
Oh,
go ahead, Biko.
Same thing. I think we both want to say thank you to everybody who's been watching and listening. And Jeff, thank you so much for just your curiosity and your faith in music. It really is bringing more out of us musicians to have you ask us, hey, what about this and what about that? And I think the ball is rolling in a good direction, and so thank you for adding some energy to this theme, Jeff, and all of you. Tons of love and appreciation. Thank you
so much, Biko.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us, Jefferson. Thanks for all the great work that you're doing.
Oh, well.
And everybody here, Annie and Linda, Julia, we know all of you, so thank you for everybody. We're all moving in the same direction.
Yeah, when you ask music to help, she'll get you going.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks very much, everybody. Really appreciate it. This will be out on Facebook Live. Feel free to share it, and namaste.